Shalom Uvracha. This week we're introduced to Avraham Avinu. Lech lecha mi'artecha mi'moladetecha mi'beis avicha. Hashem instructs Avraham Avinu to leave his home, to leave his heritage, and to go ela aretz asher areka, to a land that I shall show you. And the commentaries are baffled by the fact that there's no introduction. We don't know who Avraham Avinu is. Who is this person? For Noach, the Torah informs us he's righteous, he's complete. Avraham Avinu, we know nothing about him, and suddenly Hashem chooses him. So the Ramban, for example, introduces an entire story. Avraham Avinu was already in a dispute with a resident of Ur Kasdim, an intellectual, a religious dispute, and he had to escape from them to go to Eretz Canaan, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu intervenes in the middle and gives him this instruction. But all of this is very missing from the text. The Maharal in Sefer HaGvuros, chapter 4, the Maharal said that Avraham Avinu was not chosen for his deeds, but rather for some internal virtue, for his quality that he was born with. Not deeds, but rather an internal quality. But that also seems very difficult. Does it stand to reason that Avraham Avinu should be chosen because of some secret quality with which he was born and not for his actions? Later on, at the beginning of Parshas Vayera, there we find that the Torah says, Hashem declares, I'm not going to hide what I'm doing from Avraham Avinu because I know that he will instruct, Ki da'ativ lemana sheyetzaveh, espanav espesu achrav, he'll instruct his household after him. V'shamru derech Hashem, they'll keep the way of God, to do charity and justice, tzedakah u'mishpat. So that's a good reason why Avraham Avinu is chosen. But why does it say it only there and not here? Surely here, when Avraham Avinu is first approached by God, this is where we should learn about why. I think perhaps that the reason why Avraham Avinu is chosen here and how this is latent in the text is implied by the instruction itself. Lech lecha, Avraham Avinu, you should go. Me'artecha, from your land, a good land, the Fertile Crescent, best land in the world. You should leave and go where? Where I'll show you. Ela aretz asher areka, meaning HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem, expects Avraham Avinu to follow him blindly, to place an entire, a pure trust in the goodness of God, and to follow his instruction without knowing where he's going or where this is going to lead. And for the first time since Adam HaRishon, since the first of men before the sin, there was a pure and innocent and entirely trusting relationship with Hashem. From the sin of eating from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, Adam HaRishon was no longer in that full trust. He hid himself from God. He wasn't trusting. Since then, the condition of humanity went and deteriorated until Avraham Avinu, who was wanting and able to rise, to give that trust, to know the full goodness of God and to trust him completely. And because of that trust, that's why Avraham Avinu was able to establish this legacy of bringing God into the world, bringing this great light of goodness, of charity, of justice. That begins with this fullness of trust, of identifying the goodness in the world that's present in God and being able to manifest it in the world. And this week, we have something remarkable in the state of Israel, because for the first time in history, we're going to have a majority of members of a new government who are going to be religious, religiously observant. This is more of a revolution than we had in 77, when the right came to power. This is a big deal. What's the challenge ahead? The challenge ahead is to rise to that responsibility, to bring justice and charity and goodness into the world like Avraham Avinu, not to think only about our own communities, about our own needs, whether it's in the yeshiva or the Hasidic courts or whatever it is that religious people often think about the most, but rather to step out of those boundaries and to think about the entire breadth of the Jewish people, of the future of the state of Israel, the Jewish state, to step into those big shoes, into that big responsibility. Where does that start from? From Avraham Avinu. From the faith that we can do good in the world, that we can have this direct trust in the goodness of God and manifest it the way Avraham Avinu did in justice and in charity and in all of the other tremendous achievements that can await us if only we believe in ourselves and step into that responsibility which is the legacy of Avraham Avinu. We should all have a wonderful Shabbos.